Divorce sucks. The depth of emotion that we go through is overwhelming, to say the least. But it also opens a portal to powerful insights, self-reflection, and growth. My guest today, Erica Bennett, is not only the host of the Crazy Ex-Wives Club's podcast, but also helps women turn pain into purpose and transformation. We talked about the raw truth of divorce, the complexity of anger, forgiveness, and personal growth. Erica also shares practical tools to help us ride the waves of emotion that hits when we least expect them. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Soft Power Project. And today we're sitting down with Erica. Not only she's the producer and host of the Crazy Ex-Wives Club podcast, she also created a club for women who are going through divorce, who are thinking about going through divorce, and really offered a safe space for people to just talk about the really messy and tough stuff. And it's all about turning personal pain into purpose and transformation. I'm so honored to interview Erica today. Hi, Erica.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here. It was wonderful meeting you and getting to chat and know each other. So I'm honored. Thank you.
I mean, normally you're on the other side. You're the host. So how do you feel today being the guest?
Right. I really like it. I actually got into podcasting because somebody asked me to be a guest. I was really hesitant, I was really unsure. And she's like, just come be a guest. And I loved it. Like, to be able to talk about things that matter to you and share it with other people is such a great way to spend your time.
So speaking of which, your podcast, I mean, it's incredibly successful and it's been 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years, a little over, but holy cow, what a journey.
Wow. I mean, I would love to know, how did it get started? I mean, you mentioned that you were a guest on someone else's
Yeah.
podcast. So how did it start? Like, what's the genesis of the Crazy Ex-Wives Club?
Right? Yeah. So, it really was that soft push. So I had been ignoring the call for a very long time. I had left a, almost 20-year corporate career. I knew I wanted to start my own business. I knew that my specialty is unlocking, the mindset and the action. I call it the woo and the do, because we need a little woo, we need a little energetics mindset. How do you really feel about something? But then we need to do something. And after a year of trying to figure out what it was and people being like, oh, you should start a podcast. And I was like, ugh, I don't even listen to podcasts. I've never listened to one. Like, why would that be my thing? I built a career on digital scalable programs. Like, this is what I should do. And I kept ignoring it. And finally, by like the fifth time, the universe hit me over the head with somebody being like, you really need to go do this. I leaned into it and I said, okay, what would it be? What would it be about? And it actually first started as the wild and crazy world of healing. And I wanted to have a podcast that just focused on alternative healing modalities, because what had really helped me in my life, talk therapy was fantastic, but it was the start, right? Eventually I was like, I feel good. Like, when I get hit with one of the emotions, it's outside of my session. So by the time I show up to my session, I've righted myself. And when I dove deep into the alternatives, that's when I really started to break free of some of the junk that was still stuck in my body. Okay, so I digress, but I'm like, ooh, okay, I think it's this. And I'm playing around with logos on Canva and, Friday night at 8 p.m. because that's what we do when we love our jobs so much. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, what if it's a Crazy Ex-Wives Club? What if it is about taking back your power over how many times do people are like, oh, she's crazy. Oh, she's got divorced. Don't be with that one. Or even how many times has your ex just been like, oh, she's crazy. And when I really thought
Yeah.
about it, I was like, yeah, I am crazy, but I am crazy in the good way. Like, I chose to do divorce differently. I chose to do it with love. I chose to do it with a focus on abundance. And I chose to extend an insane amount of grace and understanding, and it crafted me and helped me figure out those 3 values are the values that I live by and love and share with
Mm,
other people, and I was like, "Hell yes, I am crazy." And we should all be proud of being crazy because crazy is not bad. Crazy is bad when our emotions run the show. And it happens to all of us,
mm,
like, in the
yeah.
deepest pain of my divorce was I screaming and yelling and sobbing on the floor and saying all sorts of things that, now I think are, like, a
Mm,
little bit embarrassing. I did, and it
mhm,
was driven by such a deep pain, and when I healed those
right.
places, then I could lean into the good crazy, the love, the abundance, we can do anything we set out to do, and so I wanted to bring that to life for people. I wanted to empower women who are at the lowest spot of their life to know that they can take that power back and it can be a good thing when we do the work to heal.
Mhm. That is so beautiful. And I completely resonate with you on talking about redefining the word crazy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, as someone who grew up as a people pleaser, crazy, it's not a word or adjectives I wanted to associate myself with. But I think going through divorce myself and going through the empowering process and transformation, I really felt like it, just like you said, it's not a bad word. I am crazy, but
In a
crazy in
good
a
way.
good way. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the movement, right? Your movement is soft power, which was so instrumental in my journey too, but my movement is literally like you don't have to stay feeling crazy being driven by your emotions. And so as
Yeah.
women, we get to take that back and let's own it. Let's own that we are different. We are emotional. That is our superpower, but we have to learn how to utilize it and leverage it and do it responsibly.
hmm Now, I'm really curious. So, I mean, obviously, it's all about turning your own experience and pain into something that can help a lot of women. And how did you had that shift? What was that shift like, knowing that this is a dark place, I want to get out of it, and I wanted to help other women to get out of that dark place?
Yeah, whether it's my astrological sign or my corporate training or whatever it is, I have a really strong passion for mastery. And so I didn't wanna talk about or I didn't wanna, preach that I had all the answers until I really
Right.
felt like I owned
Mm,
the behaviors, and
yeah.
because you kinda get inspired thoughts and you kinda listen to other people and you're like, "Ooh, that's cool," and you try it for a little bit, but I need to own it, like, full body and soul need to own it, and so, until I launched the podcast, I had never actually written about my divorce story. It had been a thing. People knew, obviously, friends, family, everybody knows that you got divorced, but nobody really knew the full details because we did have infidelity, because I did stay for 2 years trying to talk him into working on it. Like I couldn't just go out and be like, "Oh, he cheated," and have a whole bunch of people be supportive that I should keep fighting for it. And I knew that. And so it had been a very private journey, and when I got the calling, and when I figured out the name was the Crazy Ex-Wives Club and you get like a hit, like it feels like a
Right.
lightning bolt hits you. And I was like, oh, snap, this is going to be
hmm
something. That's when I then sat down and wrote what my journey was in that first blog post. Like, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. In that crucial pivoting moment that started this biggest journey of being able to move forward. I think it's still a process. I was just sharing last week, I went to an amazing event that really unlocked a whole new level of standing in your power of your story, because I don't want to create more hurt. I don't wanna talk negatively or poorly about people. We're all humans having a human experience. This is not about any sort of blame, on my ex, but how do I tell that story? How do I show that without creating more pain? And so it's always a constant evolution of how much more can we expand into it. But
mm
just giving women that place every single week when the new episode drops
mm
that, you can show up and not be alone. Like,
Yeah.
the thing that as you probably are feeling it too, when you start a podcast and it's so much you're behind the mic and you just drop it and it goes out and you're like,
Yeah.
"Did you like it?" Like, did you like it? And,
Yeah.
when the reviews and the messages start coming in and people are like, I drop off my
Mhm.
kids and that first hour transition is the hardest, and I hit play, and it's like having my best friend in the car with me, holding me up until I can hold myself up, and that's really the goal. Like, you guys, you can no matter how hard of the season is in your life, can you get through it? Absolutely. But we need the right support and we need the right people. And so the podcast shows up on your radio or your phone or wherever you're
Right.
streaming it from, or you join the
Yeah.
club to have the support of women. But it's that like I am happy to stand in my stories and share the pain so that you don't feel alone in it because emotions are so normal. I grew up feeling like my emotions were very much not okay. I was too
Yeah.
much. Were you too much?
Right. Yeah.
Were you
Yeah.
like, I became a people pleaser because I was too much. Like, what are you
Mm.
don't do anything to make Erica mad. Like, don't do anything to make Erica get, whatever. I just didn't know how to handle them. And so I
Right.
love being able to teach other women like, "Oh, you don't have to live like that anymore."
Mm. Oh, that's so beautiful. And I just wanted to really highlight what you mentioned earlier is that, you went to the event and you noticed that it's so important to tell your story, to own your story, but with so much grace and kindness. Again, it's the human experience. Yeah, people make a lot of mistakes. But I think when you get to that point where you can be so kind with yourself and maybe with the people that you had relationships with in the past, I think it's such a beautiful place to be in. And that's definitely, I think it's a space or a place where a lot of women going through trauma is trying to get to. Could you tell me a little bit more about what that's like being in that space?
Yeah, because when we sit in a space of being angry or
Mm,
resentful or hurt in any of the variety of words, right? I feel
yeah,
powerless. I'm frustrated. I'm angry. I'm
yeah.
jealous. I blame the other person. Those feelings are valid. And those feelings are begging you to go do the work to heal them. Because when we heal them and when we, see them, acknowledge them, hold space for them, and ask them, what are you trying to
Mm,
teach me? What did I not
yeah.
see? What lesson did I
Mm-hmm.
miss that now I can take forward? Then you can start to let that stuff go. Like
Mm,
like when I think about and that's why it took me so long. Okay. So when I think about, what my ex asked me to go through in those first phases of the divorce. And even if we go back further when we were separated and I had no idea that the other woman was still in the picture and I kept like demanding answers, right? There was a lot of hurt and a lot of anger
mm,
and rage, deep rage. And I wouldn't let myself feel it because in the separation phase, I was so desperate to like try and save it because I was scared. And that's a different story. But then as that I moved through that rage, it wasn't rage against him. It was rage for me that I didn't know my value, that I stayed. Why did I put up with this? Like, how come it took me so long to learn to love myself? And when you can move into that, like when I can move, and it's not static all the time, you guys. It's ebbs and flows. It's something that like, "Oh, I'm a little run down right now, or things aren't going the way I want, beating up on myself, and that voice starts in your head. Okay, then I got a toolbox of things that I can go do to get back to knowing that, right? Love is the true superpower. There's only two things, right? It's not love and hate. There's love and there's fear. And fear drives all those
mm,
negative emotions. Abundance, is
yeah.
there enough for everybody? Do I truly believe that
Right.
both my ex and I can be happy? I do. And I want us both to be happy. Why would I want any human to live in suffering longer than they have to? And grace, as a human, having a human moment, doing things that are maybe not so nice all the time. I'm just as guilty.
Mm-hmm.
But we reground ourselves in those pieces to be
Mm,
able to show up and do the work. It has nothing to do with changing them. It has everything to do with you finding your true worth and creating boundaries that support that. I know now that I will not put up with a missing willingness to really work on the problems. There's gonna be problems in life. That's fine. But if somebody won't talk about it, if somebody won't own their work on it, if somebody won't show up to the conversation, then I know that it's time for me to leave.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned so many things I would like to unpack, and but there's one thing, and that's something that I actually recently noticed is that I never truly process my anger. And as you know, I think I shared on the podcast that I'm going through the custody battle. I'm still there. So the anger it's there and it will come up. But I never knew, and as a people pleaser, I had no idea anger was a human thing, was absolutely normal, something that I can actually feel, I get to feel, and I get to process. What was it like for you to process that anger? What was it something that you noticed and you're able to do that right away? Or did you really have to reach into your toolbox and help yourself through
Yeah.
that?
It was a in it because anger is strong, you guys. Anger's big. And to be honest, it's a little scary. Think about kids
Yeah.
when kids get angry, right? They're angry because there's so much something flooding their system that they are acting out. And really, if you sit down with them and reflect back, like, hey, I can see you're angry and you're safe and I'm here with you, it diffuses that anger very quickly because it's a it is a scary place to lose control of your thoughts, your words, and your like
Yeah.
feelings in your body because you are so angry. And so we learn to ignore it. We learn to push it down. We learn to say, oh, that's not okay. That's not okay. When we start to look at anger and we work through anger, I talk about emotions in terms of waves. There's a storm and it's raging around you and the waves come and go. And as we work more and learn more about the storm of anger, you become
Mm,
more skilled at riding the wave. Instead of, surf example, instead of being on the surfboard and the anger starts, so there's a lot of momentum and it's pushing, 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 and it scoops you up and it drops you real fast and tumbles and beats you up and you're sucked underneath by the ocean current and bounced around, right? If you've ever been slammed on the bottom of the ocean floor by a wave, it's not fun. Okay, when we learn how to ride the wave of anger, we can stay on the top.
mm,
And eventually, as we stay on the top and we balance with it, it diffuses, right? There is no wave that fully crashes in every single time. The wave comes, it peaks, and then it goes back down. And so anger is one of those. And here's what I would say, listeners, if you're working on anger, there's two pieces to that puzzle. First, this is where one of the places that I really love music. Put on an
mm,
angry song. Go in your bedroom, put on
mm,
an angry song.
mm.
We can all find them, right? They were like in my days on my side, it was, like college era of like Limp Bizkit, like the
Yeah.
raging, the da da da, screaming in the microphones right here in the US and whatnot. Find an angry song and close your eyes. I like to close my eyes because I judge myself when I'm dancing. And what I want to
Mm,
do is tune into the feelings of the music getting me to move. And that anger is stuck somewhere in the body. And so put the song on and rage it out in the privacy of your room. Move it, pound onto the floor, stomp on the floor, jump, whatever explosive action you need to take. And you'll know it because like you'll be close your eyes and I start little movements, right? And then I'm like, ugh,
yeah.
right? And then it gets a little bigger. And then I do a movement, maybe I like punch the air and I was like, that didn't really feel good. Okay, do it a different way. Maybe it's pulling, right? Maybe you'll know because it'll feel good. It'll feel good because your body is holding onto it so deeply. And so anger is a process of every time we do a little bit more and every time we do a little bit more. And so while that example gets it out, work the funk out of the body. The other piece that then comes afterwards is the journaling to ask, why am I so angry about this?
Mm,
Why do I feel like I was wronged? When you start to get to, I'm so angry he was so disrespectful. I'm angry he lied. I'm angry he didn't tell the truth. I'm angry I asked. I knew I asked and I asked and I asked for years and he never told me the truth. Oh, I'm angry that I didn't listen to myself. I'm
mhm,
angry that I allowed somebody else to treat me like this. I'm angry that I quit on myself. there was a lot of forgiveness and, like, I self-abandoned, and I had to have a moment, little visualization chat with myself where I was like, "I will not do that to you again. You tried for years to tell me something was wrong, and I thought I knew better." And so allow those layers to peel off, and when we partner those 2, move it out of the body, get really clear on what the root of it is, then we can change the pattern. We can disrupt the pattern and
Mm,
have it not come back.
mm. That's absolutely beautiful. And also, it's not linear, right? There's so many layers to that. And then you mentioned that, that anger in your body, that needs to come out. And I think a little similar to what you're saying, I think I found, and recently I found boxing. I never thought that I
Ooh,
would do boxing, but I think it's actually getting your, processing that and actually letting that anger out of your body. And yeah, it's really fun. So for anyone who also want to try that,
I
I
love
think
that
that's
because I started, like, heavy lifting, and you watch
mm,
everybody do it. You watch women, speaking of this soft power, hard power, okay?
yeah,
The
yeah.
boxing, the anger, the Olympic lifting in the gym, this hard power. And I found when I was going through my pieces that there was really like 3 aspects of myself that I had lost. I had lost my warrior side. That's my
Mm,
masculine energy of
yeah,
like, "I
yeah,
got you, girl." And that for me, she's riding in on a horseback. She's got her like arrows or swords or whatever, like she is there to protect and she is
yeah,
powerful. Then I
right.
had the mother figure. And to
Mm,
me, that was that soft energy, that creative energy of like creating things and loving something else, love acceptance, the like, oh, as a woman, we do carry that mother energy for everybody, for the earth, for people, for anybody who crosses our path. We have the ability to step into that. And then there was she's all white, like a white woman, like a sage, like the intuitive force, right? That divine inner guidance piece of me.
mm,
And I always, when I lost myself, I found each of these aspects of myself one at a time. And I was a little bit confused. I found the warrior one first because I had risen up and I was in my
mm,
power and I was working out hard and I was so strong and I was doing all the work and I was getting it all done. And so when this next one showed up and I was like, oh, but like that divine guidance, like I really feel that too. And oh, the mother, and I really feel that. And I realized that for me, it's like the 3 of them are sitting facing each other, like almost like creating a triangle, like around a fire. Like these are the 3 aspects of who it means to be me that I flow in and out of depending on what I need. And my warrior woman carried me for years through the divorce. And it was only recently I was trying to do another hard energy thing. I was trying to do a really big climb. I loved hiking. I found hiking. I was trying to do a huge climb in Colorado. And it had been on my list. It was the only climb I didn't get done a couple years prior when I had been out there doing a big hike adventure. Like I'd hiked the Great Sand Dunes and I car camped by myself and I did a 10-day road trip
what?
and like all the things. I had no hotel plan for the next night. I just let myself like follow my bliss. It was fantastic. Very much the masculine energy. Well, 2 years later, I'm back. There's one hike left and I'm like, I just have to do this. And you can feel the forcing. You just have to do this. And halfway through, I totally was like ready to bail. It's the Manitou incline, which is like it's not long, it's
Hmm.
high. And so the last mile of it, I didn't think I was
Hmm.
gonna make. And bless my current partner who sat on the phone with me while he was working. And I'd be like, I can't do it. I'm gonna quit. And he's like, no, you're not. Keep going. And I'd be like, I just really need to quit. And he's like, shut your mouth, keep going. Like for an hour, he got me up the top.
Hmm.
And when I got to the top of the hill, because it was the hardest thing I had ever done in my life, and it shouldn't have been, it wasn't that hard. And then when I started the journey down, I realized, and I started bawling. My warrior woman was tired. She had carried the bulk of picking me up, restarting my life, and being confident in who I was, and she was tired. I needed to let her go for a little bit. And in that moment, I thought I was actually letting her go so I could like visualize almost like sending her out to pasture. I was like, "You get to go rest, like, your job is done. Thank you. You
Yeah.
made it through the storm. You made it through the war, and we're here together, and you can go now, go rest, go
Mm,
celebrate." And I sent her off, and I knew that I was shifting into a softer power. I shifted heavily into that motherly energy. I wanted yoga instead of weightlifting. Weightlifting felt terrible,
mhm,
felt absolutely terrible in my body. And now here we are. Gosh, how many years has it been now? 2 more years, and now she's coming back. And so it was such a moment, though, to be able to, like, put down the masculine power and say, "Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to allow. I'm ready to receive. I'm ready to do things in a softer way that still feel good in my body," um, because it's time. And it was almost a protective mechanism, like, I can't slow down. I can't be
mhm,
soft.
mhm,
I can't just do yoga. I gotta stay fit. I gotta stay lifting weights. I gotta stay.
mhm,
Or allow that softness to come in. See where it leads you. See what new things start to pop up and feel
mhm.
good to you in your body and in your mind.
Right. Oh my goodness, I resonate with that so much, and I think when I first got divorced, and then I had to go to court, and I think my experience again, like I was like, I'd never done anything wrong. Why do I have to go to court? And obviously, that's something you absolutely have to do by yourself. So I remember I actually got into the warrior me, the Wonder Woman me, I
Yes.
listened to like Katy Perry roar like entire way on repeat as soon, going to the court because I had to like just psych myself up and just like get myself ready to fight. And yeah, for a couple years until I decided to go to therapy because I was so tired. And I was ready to just let that go, but I didn't know why. I just felt like I kind of held on to that anger for something, and it wasn't sustainable for me anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think at this point, just like you said, we're seeking more for the balance, right? That softer side of us. And maybe the warrior comes back, but it's more the better, the balanced and more sustainable way to live.
Yeah, because, so I had done a lot of work to not feel the anger. And that's partially because when I got divorced, my ex was like, "You're always angry. You're such a B word," right? Because I was very unhappy and I was trying to control everything. And yeah, I was not pleasant to be around. He's right. I was not a nice person at the end because I was so overwhelmed and so stressed and trying so hard to get things done. And so I like swung the other direction to be like, "There's no anger." And I was out to breakfast with a friend and I'm telling him, I'm like, "Oh, but it's okay, but it's okay." And he's like, "When are you gonna be angry? Like, when are you gonna be angry? Because what he did was wrong. You can make all the excuses that he was depressed or he was this or he was that, but what he did was wrong." And it
Yeah.
unlocked something that I was like, "Oh, maybe I do
Hmm.
need to feel this a little bit." And here's what I learned about anger is that anger in a good way, anger is a fuel for the fire.
Hmm.
When I
Yeah.
stomped out all of the anger, I really lacked drive and motivation. And I just was like, "Ugh, I'll get it done sometime." And then a lot of time passes. And so there is a valuable piece to anger. But like you're saying, anger is like, we all have a fire or whatever, and anger is like the wood that we're putting in it. And if we're putting in too much wood and the fire's raging out of control, it's not sustainable. But do we
Yeah.
need a little heat sometimes to kick us in the
Yeah.
butt to be like, "Oh, like I really like right now using
Mm,
anger to be like, oh, I really didn't like that. Okay.
mm,
What do you wanna create instead?" That really irritated me, so what do I need? Do I need a better boundary? Like, there are times when people in my life really piss me off. Like,
mhm,
they do
mhm.
things, because 'cause we're in a blended family, there's a lot of chaos, there's a
Mhm,
lot of mixing energies, and so things happen, totally normal, but they piss me off, really piss me off, and I'll be like, "Okay, not what do I change in them, but what do I wanna do differently about me?" Do I need more space? Do I need more recharging? Do I need to make a clear ask? Do I need to check my expectations? Are they different than yours? And this is why I'm getting pissed. It is so valuable to become really aware of what your emotions are telling you and learn how to use them because they are good and bad. Too much of
Mhm.
anything is bad.
Yeah.
Too much, like, let's go too much. I mean, this is, I don't know if I'm going to agree with this, but too much love, right? Too much
Mhm.
love eventually kind of turns into people pleasing because you love everybody else other than yourself. And so, too much of anything is not good. We need a flow, we need a balance, and bring it in when we need it and be able to understand, like, ooh, that's out of control. I need to check that. I need to create a little better
Mm.
balance.
Mm. Yeah, exactly like you said. And I find that a lot of women, when they go through hardship, they will immediately go into this mode where it's okay. I'm learning the lesson. This is a good lesson. This is a good experience. They
Hmm.
want it to just jump to that end kind of conclusion so they can like, not feel the anger. But I think, yeah, but the thing is like anger, it's there for a purpose. And it definitely helped me to kick myself into the direction where I wanted to go. But yeah, but I think it's just so beautiful. I love talking about anger because I think it's so important. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. You will continue. You can stay in any emotion as long as you want. And one day you're just going to say, I'm tired of feeling this way. And it's in that moment that you get to choose something new. I was
right.
tired of feeling sad. I was tired of feeling angry. I was tired of spending my drive home from work complaining about my ex.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it was years later. And I remember that moment. I'm driving home. I'm like passing under like overpass, talking to my friend. And all of a sudden I was like, it's been 3 years.
Yeah.
Why am I still sitting here so angry and blaming him? It's 3 years. Does he really have power and control over my life to that level anymore? No. And I was like,
Mm,
I'm done. And it took some time because it's a habit. It was
yeah.
a habit to call that friend and complain the whole ride home. And so I'd get in the car and I'd want that connection. And I was like, hold up. You're angrier when you get off the phone, not better. Make a new
Mm,
choice. Put on a good playlist, called a different friend, like sat in silence, whatever it was. You have to be ready to make the choice. And you'll do it when you
mhm.
get to the day that you're like, I'm done. I'm done being angry or
Right.
sad or whatever the emotion is you don't want to feel anymore.
Mm. I love that. And it's really about taking that control back, right? Asking yourself,
Yeah.
what can I do in this situation? And I think that is, yeah, absolutely the most crucial thing that we can do in a healing journey. And I know that you host clubs with
Yeah.
amazing women and on it's like weekly, monthly. I know you even do gifts for your club
Yeah.
members, which is so fun and amazing. How has this experience shaped you? Because I mean, I feel like everyone we're in the reinvention, right? We're
Mhm.
on that journey. How
Yeah.
has that really shaped you? Yeah, what's that experience like?
It is a wild and crazy ride, Sherry. I mean, like, good Lord. You know, the other thing that I want to say too, something that when you were talking popped into my mind
Hmm.
is the old me. The old me felt that life was so out of control. My emotions were all over the place. Everything was out of control. So what do I need to do? I need to control the details. I will not be upset on my commute to work if I can control the other drivers. And I will not be irritated at my partner for not doing the dishes if I can control him into knowing what I want done. And
Hmm.
it's exhausting and it is
Yeah.
not taking your power back. It's giving it away. And so I see that so often. Everybody wants to control the details. Well, if they just did it better, if they just did it differently, I wouldn't be pissed. Or shift and learn how you take control back over your emotions. It doesn't matter how they show up. And I think that's like the
Right.
new me, one of the most
Hmm.
powerful gifts. Something shows up in my day to day and it makes me mad or worries me or scares me,
Hmm.
or I spiral into a like, I'm really uncertain of how this is ever going to happen. And it feels so very hopeless. And I go, "Oh," and I'm like, "Heck yes. Let's annihilate this." And instead of running, instead of just being pissed, instead of spilling that emotion over into the other people in my life, I dive deep into it. I like, like I stare it down. I get in my power and I say, "Okay, let's play. Let's play. What is hiding underneath this emotion that I need to
Right.
learn?" Because every
Mhm.
time I call them bubbles, like I pop the bubble, like the trigger,
Mhm.
when you get triggered and it's
Yeah.
just all consumed. It's a bubble. Something is pressing on that bubble and together we can pop it and then it diffuses out the body. And then I get the lesson, and then I can learn through it. And so, is it the easiest of paths? Not always. In the beginning, you're rewiring a lot of old belief systems that you built of how people need to be. And it's constant. It's like I can be really good and not irritated at drivers on the road. And it's the worst. My boyfriend has the worst driving. He's a great driver, but when he drives, he is very, very pissed at everybody else, and so it's just
Mhm.
how he gets his emotions out, and so he's, yelling at drivers or whatever, you don't know how to merge, or don't you know that the left lane is for, the fast lane, move or, only pass in the left lane and move back into the right lane, basic things. So he's not wrong, he's not mean. God, he gets so worked up, and then what do you think happens to me? Now I'm in the car being like, this driver," and I have to work myself back out of that and be like, "Yep, who knows where they're going, and can I just float around them, and can I change me? I'm never gonna change that driver. I'm never gonna change the other thing, but I can change me for the good, and it no longer bothers me."
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, that's beautiful. And I think that's why you're able to help so many women who is going through the messy stage, right? The phase in their lives, because there are a lot of emotion and you need to navigate through that as well.
Yeah, and I think it's the one thing that I wish I had had growing up. I was so overwhelmed by the intensity of my emotions. I have a fantastic family, a very loving mom, a very loving dad who's since passed away. I had a great family. And still, I didn't know how to handle my emotions. I didn't. And so now to be in a place to hold space for women, to show up. So, if we're looking at the club, which is the divorce membership, you can show up and you can bring your messy real life.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna welcome you in, and I'm gonna give you a hug, and that motherly energy is there, right? "I got you, girl." And right behind me is that warrior who's like, "We're not gonna let you sit in this muck longer than you need to. You don't have to give your power away, and we teach you how to take that power back. Find yourself, claim who you are, get your feet underneath you so that you're confident in your decisions and you love the life that you're building." And we do it in sisterhood. We do it. The other thing that I wish I never had a lot of female friends. I didn't understand what that was about,
Me neither. Me neither.
right? That's something that came later after the divorce. All of a sudden, I was like, oh, wait.
Mhm.
And so to be
Mhm.
able to create that space for women all over the world to join us, to be seen, to be taught how to be one with your emotions, how to let them rage in a safe way and to let them move out of the body. I mean, we do that every month. We're always divorce detox hour. We detox the junk back out, teaching you how to find your calm, steady strength. It's it's really a fantastic place to be. What a gift. All the journeys that I've gone through. I wouldn't be here without the divorce. I wouldn't be here without the intense amount of pain. If I'd had an easy divorce, I wouldn't have really had to work through anything.
Yeah.
All of your steps, you're always on your path. It's always leading you to exactly where you're supposed to be. It just depends how long it takes us to hear that call and to realize where we're going.
Mhm. Oh my goodness, I love that. And like you said, I was someone who didn't quite understand the importance of female friendship. I understand logically, I think everyone kind of talked about it, but I just didn't have that many female friends. And I think it's exactly what you were saying. I was really afraid of my own emotion. So when I, encounter any female friendship, obviously there are more emotion and I didn't know what to do with it. And I think that was one of the reasons why now that I healed and I moved through these emotions, I can truly understand kind of the beauty of having female friendship and just surrounded by amazing women.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a great awareness too, and I'm gonna take that with me today, that it really is because they bring in so much emotion. And I recently had a couple friends visit and, so they're at my house and I'm making little snacks for us to eat and whatever else, and we're, like, running late for something or whatever it is, and my dear friend Melissa, who's been on the podcast a few times, she just looks at me and she's like, "You are not used to having women help you, are you?" I was like, "No." And she's like, "Yeah, okay, stop. Stop. There's 3 of us here. You don't have to carry it all. This is how we divide and we conquer. And, like, what do you need me to do? And what can Heidi do?" And all of a sudden, I was like, "Oh,
Mm.
but it's a skill set, right? Versus I can control everything and I can get it done faster because I'm super fast and speedy and Virgo and all the things. It takes a little longer to ask for help. It takes a little grace to allow somebody to do it their way instead of like, how fast do you want to do it?" But oh my gosh, do you get so much more done? It is a different energy. It's a receiving energy. And for us powerful women who were corporately driven, who climbed the ladder, who did all the things, that's a really hard space to be in. We're used to go get it done
Yeah.
versus let me take care of you. Let me help.
Oh my goodness. That's so beautiful. Same here. I don't think I'm used to having other women help me. Yeah, I'm just so used to like doing more, say
Yeah,
more, talk more, get more knowledge, get more insight. And it's exhausting after a while.
it is. We are not meant to do it alone, but we have been taught that we're supposed to be able to do it alone. Yeah, you just
Right.
have to learn. I always have to remind myself, slow down. The important things are always going to get done. Like,
Yeah.
allow yourself to receive. And
Hmm.
same way, it's following those emotions. Ooh, this feels really good. This feels really juicy. This feels really exciting. And
Right.
see where it takes you.
Yeah. So, I mean, at this point, at this stage in your on your journey, what would you say to women who is kind of going through divorce, where they're considering going through divorce, and if you weren't worried about hurting their feelings?
That's a great ending to that question. Good Lord. Where do I want to take this? Um, okay, the first thing, let's like if you're if you are wondering if divorce is the right option for you, and I wasn't worried about hurting your feelings, I'd tell you the fact that
Mm-hmm.
it's already in your wheelhouse means it might be.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing I would ask you is that you really unsure if divorce is the option, or are you scared to death to know that it is? Because there are really 3 phases of divorce. Do I stay or do I go? Who am I now that I decided to divorce? And how do I thrive in my new normal? And every single person I've ever met said they stayed in the do I stay or do I go longer than they wish they should have. In the moment, they didn't know.
Right.
In the moment, they were, frantically trying to find an answer, trying to find a solution, trying to save the thing. And they were giving away all their power and all their energy to that relationship versus taking care of themselves to figure out what they want. And so I think a lot of us are afraid to acknowledge it. I think I knew he was cheating because there would be these, like, again, lightning bolts that would come down at certain points in conversations where it was like the earth shattering underneath me. Like my inner guides were screaming at me and I was not listening because I didn't want to hear
Mm-hmm.
it. That was unacceptable to me. I was not doing life that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's that. And then I think here's the other part. When you're in phase 2 and you are
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure out who you are now, I am going to tell you that the bulk of the healing work is to figure out what you did wrong in the marriage. And you're going to be so pissed that I said that. You're going to be pissed that I said that. So let's talk about me. I had to do that work, even though he cheated, even though he lied,
Right.
even though he did not tell the truth. Even after I knew about her and we decided on divorce and we were cleaning out the house and I asked him a question about her, he still lied. I was like, dude, there's 0 reason left to lie. We're already moving
Mm-hmm.
forward. The lie is what hurts, not the truth. Like, okay, I still had to own my piece of the
Mm-hmm.
destruction. It takes 2 to build it and it takes 2 to destroy it. Yes, he cheated. Yes, that was the biggest disrespect to the relationship. But was I actually the wife that I wanted to be? Was I kind? Was I
Mm-hmm.
loving? Was I supportive the way
Mhm.
that I wanted to be? Was I open to collaborating with him? Remember that whole thing about controlling all the details? Oh, I controlled the details. I chose what paint color we used. I chose when we got a second dog. Like he literally was like, I do not want a dog. And I go, well, that's nice because this is happening. So pick one. There were 2 pictures on the screen. I was like, pick one because it's happening. He's like, I don't want it. I go, well, better put your vote in now, right? Like I had to own those pieces. I still disrespected and caused a breakdown in the marriage, and nobody wants to own that.
Mhm.
And it's not saying I deserved it. It's not
Mhm. Mhm.
saying he was justified in what he did. It's saying 2 people made mistakes. So own your side of the mistakes. Now I own in my partnership, one, I do not ever want to let it spiral that bad. So which means that yes, I talk a lot about the things, and I'm sure my partner would love to not talk a lot about the things. But it's part of my commitment on like, I need to process through and talk this through. I also know that I will never speak in that manner, in that tone to my partner again. Like when I catch myself in a judgmental, controlling, I know best manner, I'm like, oop, explore that. Do you really know best? Is it possible that how he wants to do things, it could turn out? We get in that power struggle. And so I step out of the power struggle and I go, what if? What if his way works better? What if there's a way that could be easier? What if I allow support and receive this in? And so I think that there's those 2 pieces. Ooh, and here's your third one for your third phase, learning to thrive in your new normal. This is co-parenting and dating and all the things. You are going to fall head over heels with the first person you meet after divorce.
Yep.
99% of you, that is not your person.
Yep. Yes.
Yes. We all do it,
Yes.
and it's so hard. It's so hard because I see these people, they're like, "Oh my god, I found my person." And I was like, "Oh, let's write it out." I go, "God, do I
Mm.
hope." I hope, because do some of the people that you meet right after divorce, do they stick? For sure, for sure. So I'm not
Mhm,
saying
mhm,
it's not
mhm.
possible, but I'm saying if we look at the facts and the figures, the majority of them do not, because we all of a sudden put so much expectation that this person is going to save us and make the pain have purpose. Oh, I went through all that because look at this wonderful, amazing thing that I now have.
Yes.
And so it
Yes.
puts a lot of
Mhm.
pressure on that one to like
Right.
stay and be the right one. And I thought I could just get my life back on track, get it back on the track I already had
Yeah.
before.
Yep.
So we all do it, guys. We all do it. If you are in that, I do hope it works. But if you're not, know that that's okay too. Because yeah, I watch you guys on social media, and you're like, "Oh, I found the love of my life," and then like 6 months later, that person is like scrubbed from your account, and I'm like, "Yep, here we go, learning, learning level 2. We'll do it again, and it's all perfect, and
Mm.
it all is serving a purpose."
Right. I mean, what you said, there's so much self-awareness, and also I think you're talking about the power struggle. And
Mm,
there's so much ego, I think, went into making a lot of decision. And I had to really experience the ego death again and again and again to really understand what I want and what I can actually do in that situation. So I think that's such an important thing. When you take away, when you like stand back and just look at your own ego making that decision, you're like, okay, hold on. That, we gotta chill. We gotta like take a step back.
yeah. I'm always like, "Why are you trying to do this thing?" "Oh, I gotta be right."
Hmm.
"Oh, big deal." Or how would, the greater power that be see this? Because there's never a point when, like, whatever greater power you want to believe in, whether it's a religion or I call it the universe or spirit or soul or whatever, do you really think anybody was made by mistake? Do you really think anybody was like that? This power that created us doesn't love and accept us for who we are? I mean, think about if you're a parent, do you just love and accept your children even though they're all very different and sometimes they're real pains in the butt? Like, good Lord, my child was difficult last night. Like, I was like,
Yep.
"Please, please, Lord Jesus, help me get through these teenage years," right? Like, you're just like, "Please." And so that helps me like, "Okay, I'm really pissed at you, but
Mm.
how would source see this? How would somebody see this through eyes of unconditional love and acceptance?" Okay. Well, then they'd be like, "Yeah, you're having a human moment and you're doing some things that aren't so great, and I can just give you
Mm,
space. So like last night, I took space. I left my kid alone until he ended up falling asleep. And I
mm,
was like, beautiful. You fell asleep, you took a
mm,
nap, you woke up completely like, oh, I'm good
mm-hmm,
now. I'm like, thank you. It's just all those little pieces as they weave together.
mm. And it's just like you're just allowing things to the flow, right? Allowing things to happen, taking a step back and I think you spoke about it and everything you described, I feel like that I would see that as soft power, but I was just curious
Mm.
to know like how do you define soft power?
Yeah, I think soft power. I was so excited when I heard that that was the name of your podcast because I think culturally we've lost our soft power. We have been taught how to operate in a masculine world because we wanted to catch up.
Yes.
Oh, you want a job, then you got to work like a man. And can women work like a man? For sure, but there's a reason that women are having a lot of burnout because we're different. Our power is different. If a man's power, the masculine power is to show up and be strong and in your face and the anger piece of it. A woman's power is love and acceptance and the ability to allow things to surprise and delight her. So when I look at my soft power is truly the ability to stand in unconditional love and acceptance. So, because it is hard. It is hard sometimes, everyone's very different. And to choose to say, I'm going to walk the path of where I know my true power lies, which I'm going to focus on, even in the worst situations. What am I grateful for? What do I appreciate? Any of the higher vibe emotions. What am I excited about? And if you can't get to those about a situation, what
Hmm.
am I content with? What am I neutral with? Right? I didn't love a lot of things about my co-parenting relationship for a very long time, but
Right.
was I content? It wasn't worse. Yes. And so to me, that's our soft power, not to demand, not to yell and scream and show up and be like, look at me, I am here. Soft power is turning on your magnet so that you are pulling in the experiences, the
Mm,
coincidences, the connections that align with those bigger energies, the love, the abundance, and the grace.
wow, that's so beautiful. I feel
Yeah.
like I need to
It's
digest that.
right. And it's hard, you guys. Do I like running my own business? I need to be able to flow between the masculine and the feminine. There are times it's a launch. I got to get it out. I got to push the stuff. I got to get, the socials and the emails and get the nurture sequence. And
Hmm.
I've got to go run the ads or whatever it is. That's a lot of pushing out
Hmm.
energy. And
Yeah.
so then what happens is if I do that for too long, my
Hmm.
ideas are stagnant. I'm not confident in what I'm pushing out because I'm pushing, 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 pushing. Soft power is saying, let me attract you in. Soft power is like, okay, great. Did I do my yoga? Did I do my meditation? Do I want to play my sound bowls? Like, what is the thing that lines me up to my true, juicy, knowing, powerful being? Because, good Lord, when I am like at the end of a meditation or spa service or whatever it is, when I'm lined up, you feel unstoppable. That is soft
Yeah.
power. Not because you demanded somebody listen to you, but because you know without a doubt from your heart that you are on top of the world and can accomplish anything you want. So how can we live in that space more? Live in the, I don't know if you do you swear on your thing? Can I swear?
Y-
Am I
Yeah,
allowed to? Okay.
absolutely. Oh, yeah.
How do you become unfuckwithable, right?
Mm,
How do
mm,
we? We don't do it by
mm.
pushing out and demanding, you better listen to me. We do it by becoming so magnetic that people are like, wow, look at what she's
Yeah.
created. And you
Right.
stay on top of that wave.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And, we were talking about, I think both of us have teenagers in the house. And I very much feel that, again, with teenagers, I have to be like a cat. I'm not a dog. I have to be kind of far away and just like let you come to me. When you need me, you come to me. And not in your face. But it's a learning process. But I love everything you said. I think that it's just so incredible. I think we have the power to be like magnet and we can attract the things that we absolutely love. And aligned with us. And yeah, and I think what you're doing with these beautiful women, and it's incredible. I think you're allowing them to have such safe space to just be. And that's such a gift, especially when we're going through the messy, the tough situations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause a lot of times our friends, they just don't get it, right? Friends and family, they have their own opinions. They want us to stay married, right? Like, it was a way in their
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
And so you need a space that gets it. You need a space that's like, "Preach, girl. Yeah, my ex is pulling some stupid stuff right now." And having somebody just hear you and see you in it so that you can make the choice you wanna make. "Okay, I vented it out. Now I wanna respond, respectfully. I wanna move forward," whatever it is. It's just a really transformative place to be.
Right. I mean, 100%. I mean, I think for anyone who fortunately enough didn't have to go through divorce, I think they wouldn't quite understand the impact and what we're going through. So I think having that space is incredibly important. And I mean, I'll have all the information in the description box. Is there anything that you like to tell the listeners?
Just that, give yourself grace. We are in a process of relearning systems that we've forgotten. And here's the cool part. It's so wired into us as women. It is so wired. We crave it. We do. But we have been raised and trained in a world that tried to get it out of us. And so little by little and piece by piece, you can step back into it, just
Yeah.
as a beginning point, I just want you to focus on what feels good. Like how delightful does your morning cup of tea or coffee feel? If you're just shoveling it in to get to the next thing, stop that. Stop that right now. And instead, do you like the mug? Do you like what it tastes like? Does it make you happy? And as you bring in more tiny, tiny little pieces that make you happy, that intuitive knowing of your soft power gets stronger and stronger, and you start listening to it more and leaning into it more, and you bring it back. And that is the journey, step by step.
Hmm. Yeah, step by step. And thank you so much, Erica. It has been an incredible conversation. You offer so many useful tools that we can all pack in our toolbox. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.